Hey there, and welcome back to Transformers the Game! As you recall, in the last episode we had a gathering mess at a gathering force, with all those fragged missing straight lines and those horribly inaccurate characters. But also, beautiful high-res bone crusher. And now, we are again returning to the Autobot campaign in The Last Stand. Now, this one might be a little bit tricky to cover due to this map being shared between the Autobots and Decepticons, but I think I have a system that should work nicely. Well, I'm curious to see how different things are. Let's get started. And here we are. The Last Stand. Ooh. Okay. Wow. Quite a bit darker, isn't it? Huh. Okay, well, my plan for this episode is to focus primarily on areas that are seen during the Autobot campaign. So, let's get to it by heading to our first destination. That being Main Avenue. And starting us off here is the high-res version, which looks pretty darn good, huh? Don't really see any problems here. It looks nice. Let's see low-res. Wow. That is so much darker. It's like low-res is taking place on a cloudy day, and high-res is just super clear. Yeah, that low-res is really dull. Well, that aside, I see some differences with the billboards. High-res has lush dogs, and low-res has don't call it a phone. Okay, low-res has this really weird, bright, pixely areas up in the sky. You see that? I'm gonna guess those are supposed to be rays from the sun, but good golly, those look awful. I also see that low-res has a weird texture anomaly on the road. You see that left side there? It doesn't line up with the rest of the road. High-res is pretty consistent on that count, but low-res just looks like it was slapped together or something. Yeah, so far, gotta give huge points to high-res. Let's move further ahead. Here, we have a look at one of the bridges we see throughout the city. It's a little crowded with all the trees and stuff, but it looks nice. Here's low-res. Huh. Quite a bit more open in low-res, isn't it? Okay, well, I can see that low-res has way less trees than high-res. There's a whole lot less holes in the sidewalk. That's a curious change. The bridges in low-res are also quite a bit more simplified. High-res has some additional supports going across the middle. Low-res only has one. Wow, that's not a very sturdy bridge, is it? Could be mistaken, but I think the edges of the bridges are modeled in high-res and just textures in low-res. Hard to tell, but low-res is definitely a texture. And low-res has more of that sloppy texture work underneath the bridge, you see? Now, I suppose, if you wanted to be realistic, you could just say that the roads had a patch job recently. And I suppose that's an option, but it still doesn't make it look any better. High-res is looking pretty good so far. Let's see if that trend continues. We have another cross-section of the main avenue, which looks still about the same, but no problems. Okay, low-res doesn't look too bad either. I don't see any noticeable texture anomalies from here, so that's good. Either it's because the render distance is a lot lower in low, or low-res doesn't have any of those lampposts that high-res does. Hard to tell which, though. It does seem that for the most part, the buildings follow the same design choices. Though that building on the right has a totally different texture system going on. Instead of those 4 paned windows, you get, well, a whole lot more leaner ones. Okay, so this section isn't too bad. Perhaps the misaligned road textures are a isolated incident. We'll see more as we go on here, but first, let's jump in with Jazz and have a look at some unfriendly skies. And since we've already covered Starscream and Blackout in a previous episode, there is only one character we need to worry about here. And here he comes now. Dreadwing. I wonder if he'll be as big as a disaster as your Autobot counterpart. Wait a minute. Am I crazy or does he... Hang on. Dang it. Maybe I'm just crazy, but... Come on! Am I seeing things, or does he... Well, suck my servos and call me scrap. He's got hands. That is truly surprising. Let's take a look at him up close. Here is the high-res Dreadwing we all know and love. Arguably one of the best-looking drones compared to the low-res if Skyfire is anything to go by. But let's see if that holds true for Dreadwing. Here is oh! Okay, Yikes. Okay, he's still pretty bad. What a bland piece of scrap this is. Wow. I can't even tell what I'm looking at. But at least he's got hands now, so I'll give him a point just for that. Other than that, everything else looks terrible. Yeah, this guy is so low res, I can't even make any good comparisons from him. He's that bad. Okay, well I guess one thing is that low res has the purple squares on his back. High res does have that in vehicle mode as well, but not robot. Yeah, between the bad lighting and horrible low res quality, this thing just sucks. I'm just gonna say it. Let's move on to textures. So, low res Dreadwing, as you know, has two textures being used in robot mode. One for the basic robot parts, and the other from his jet mode for jet-related details, just like Skyfire. High res has three. You have the main body, secondary body, and inner parts. Nothing really special to mention. Huh. This might be the shortest comparison I've ever done. Well, that's all I really can think of to say for robot mode. Let's soar over to jet mode. Okay, well I can't really make a good comparison from here. We're gonna have to pull up a few renders. Okay, so here is high-res Dreadwing Jet to start us off. Yeah, it's a bit, primitive, but not terrible. Here's low. Alright. He seems a bit darker compared to high-res. And it looks like those purple squares are up higher for low-res. High-res has them back near the engines. I think low-res might be a bit more gray in color. High-res has a little bit of blue. Well, it looks a lot better than Skyfire's jet, I'll say that much. With that ugly white stripe being gone, it looks a lot better. So, this isn't too bad. Ah, but he is mirrored. Okay, well that kind of throws it off, doesn't it? Yeah, high-res is not mirrored, at least not fully, but low-res is, and mirrored camo never looks that good. There are rare cases where it can work, but more often than not, it just looks nasty, as you can see. Okay, low-res again has no ID tags anywhere, nothing on the vertical stabilizers, and nothing beneath him. You know, you'd think they could throw in the decal like they've done for everybody else, but I guess he wasn't important enough for that. Over to textures, which even though it is the same texture we covered for the robot mode, we're going to cover it again to compare it with the high res, which is still pretty low quality, but again, it's not mirrored, so I gotta give huge points to high res for that. high-res superior, low-res inferior. Okay, well that was Dreadwing. That was not very eventful, because he was so ugly, everyone died. Okay, let's get back on with the tour. And dashing straight to our next examination, we have Payload. Well, I can't tell a whole lot from here. Ow. So, we're gonna have to get you up close and person. Oh, that worked. Right. Come here. Yeah, let's check this dude out, see how he looks. Starting off again with the high-res Payload. He's a good-looking drone. I really can't say much more than that. You know? He's got some good details. Nothing to complain about. And here is low-res. Okie dokie. Well, he's certainly on the low-res side, but not nearly as bad as Dreadwing. General design is fairly identical. Primitive quality aside, I do think this is one of the better low-res drones I have seen. Maybe even the best. And I really dig this dude's color. I don't know what it is, but high-res Payload's blue, I don't like it as much as this. This dark shade, I love it. It's a lot darker, not too strong. Yeah, I really dig this color. Oh wow, okay, but low-res Payload does not have any security logos on his arms. Wow, that's a pretty big deal. That's like a really obvious trademark of Payload, and low-res doesn't have it. Yeah, interesting. Well, aside from the arms, he's really suffering from that, two-sided transparency problem. Because you can see straight through his arm armor. Ugh, that's nasty. Well, let's move over to textures now. So here is low-res Payload's texture, which is... okay, this isn't too bad. Quality is okay, really low res, but you can figure out where everything is. It's not all conjumbled like some others. Okay, not too bad. Comparing that single low-res texture to the three high-res ones, we have the main body, which I think they went as far as to give him non-mirrored sections for his arms. I can applaud that. That's an ambitious move, because even though that's, let's be honest, barely legible, I can appreciate that. Not bad, game. Not bad. He also has the secondary parts, which is pretty straightforward, decently defined, and not too cluttered. And there is the inner parts, which could be a whole lot worse. So, not too bad here. Okay, robot mode wasn't too bad. Let's see how vehicle mode turns out. Oh, guy. Well, that's not a welcoming sight. Okay. Again, I love the low-res's color, but he's got some really bad transparency issues. As you can see on that security logo on his left side. And good golly, it's even worse on the inside. You could see straight through him. Oh. Yeah, that is quite unfortunate. Well, again, the general build seems about the same, as far as I can tell, but they both have the same backwards wheels. Yeah, those wheels are backwards. I tell you, the wheels in this game got botched so bad. They're backwards, they don't even line up. What a mess. Yeah, but good golly, that side badge, that is really bad. How did you not catch this, TT? I mean, they got it right on the right, but left it alone on the left. Okay. But all joking aside, if low-res didn't have that terrible transparency problem, I'd probably prefer low-res, honestly. I just like how smooth the body looks. high res is fine, don't get me wrong, but I love the smoothness of low res. Really nice. He's missing a lot of the metal detailing in certain spots, but I do like low res's main look. But I cannot forgive that transparency problem. No way. Well, that is unfortunate. Let's see how textures come out to be. Okay, not too bad. Though, it's funny how small that security logo is. You can't even read it. That's funny. But UV job is pretty nice. Everything is pretty distinct. It's not all cluttered together. It looks pretty nice. Comparing that to the high res, which has the main body texture, which is, pretty easy to work with. Not too cluttered, but it's got these little dots, which I would guess are supposed to be bolts scattered throughout. I don't like those. It just looks so bad and icky. Yeah, I don't like that. I prefer low-res's smoothness. But he does have that metal detailing going on the sides, as you can see, which is nice. He also has another texture for his brush guard wheels and other stuff. Which again, not too bad, Everything's fairly obvious as to where it is. It's not too cluttered. It is a pretty decent texture as far as drones go. Okay, I'm torn on this one. It's not terrible in total, both modes, but that transparency issue in vehicle mode, really awful. But I think the low-res robot mode for Payload is one of the best low-res drones I have seen. And I love that color. I cannot get over that. I think that is all I can say for Payload. Time to carry on with our tour with a nice game of Keep Away! Get away from me, barricade! You're a snob! And snobs get punched! And tossed into oblivion. Okay, seriously though, let's take a look at this back section of the city, starting with the construction site. High-res version looks alright. No issues that I can see. Now let's bring in load. Oh my. Okay. Well, the big one, that pit in low-res does not come out nearly as far as high-res. High-res has a whole section set apart, and low-res just has a road that bleeds into it. Wow, that's pretty substantial. Also, the fence or border or whatever they're using in low-res doesn't cover everything. So you can see a bit of dirt kind of sneaking out through the left side there. High-res is completely covered, and the whatever it is they're building, I don't know what that's supposed to be, has 2 billboards on it. One that has that fine women sign, and a leasing sign. Low-res ain't got none. And high-res even went as far as to add a dirty road texture right at the front of the pit. That is impressive. Huge props for high-res. Low-res so far has done nothing to impress me. Let's move on to the rear center street of the city, or whatever you call this place. Okay. Well, aside from the dreadfully dull lighting, I'm seeing more of that sloppy road work, and it's worse. You see, it's just these crazy bright spots that just don't make any sense at all. And high-res has nothing like that at all. That's so weird. That aside, I see that there is a totally different store on the left. High-res has it as One Hit Wonders, a record store. Low-res is Stone's Restaurant. Everything else looks about the same. I wonder why they would change just that. And that building on the right has a weirdly off detailed section. See, on high-res it's all the same, all the way around. Low-res, it kind of just shifts over to a bland bunch of nothing. Huh. Okay, so some very questionable choices for low-res. Moving on, we have the eastern path, which... Oh, good heavens! That is a big block of bland texture right there. Why? Why would you do this? Well, aside from that glaring issue, there is another fine women billboard on the high-res. And fine it is. That's about all I got. Well, alright, that was fascinating, wasn't it? Let's move in a little closer and have a look at that skyscraper. Okay, so here is the high-res, looking bold and strong. And low... Pretty similar, actually. I think the high-res might be a bit more, red in color. Low-res seems a bit more yellow, unless that's just the ambient lighting, who knows. It's pretty on point, from what I can see. Let's go for a more eagle-eye view. Wow, that lighting, though. Okay, well, high-res has a different section in the middle. Like, some of the windows are a different color. Maybe it's just the distance I'm at. That could be it. But low-res looks pretty much the same all the way around. This is a weird building, by the way. But it was made for the robots to climb, so can we really complain? I think not. High-res also has a antenna at the front that low-res lacks completely. Huh. Okay, that's some fascinating stuff. Let us resume our little game of keep away in another part of town. That is the West Boulevard, with all the umbrellas. We all know Barricade hates umbrellas, so let us take a whack at it. Okay, so here's a pretty basic view of West Boulevard. It looks nice. Got a lease sign and a tanning sign. All those lovely umbrellas. And low... Wow. Just continues to surprise me just how dark this map is. Well, naturally, low-res does not have the billboards, at least from this distance. They might have rendered out due to how limited that stupid render distance is. And even though I don't have a shot of it here, there is in fact a billboard in that upper corner there where the construction site is. It's too far to render in high-res, but it is there. Low-res does not have one at all. Not too much otherwise. Okay, well, I think we should wrap our tour up by giving Barricade one last beat down. Stick around. Ah, dang it. Get him, Chip. Are you scared of Chip? Should be. Yeah. You're still alive. Die. I think he's dead now. No, he's still not dead. Die. There we go. You're a chip out the old block, ain't you? Ah! I like making chip jokes. Okay, and there we have the last stand. Now, I know we didn't cover everything. We will cover the rest of the city in the next episode with the Decepticons. I just wanted to cover the areas that were more crucial to the Autobots. And so far, low-res is failing drastically. High-res has surpassed it in pretty much every regard. What really does this map in is the bland lighting. You just can't compare that to high-res, which is so much better with those bright areas, those shadowed areas. Everything just looked better. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But, on the other hand, we had some pleasant surprises in the case of low-res Payload's color and low-res Dreadwing actually having hands. I'm still shocked by that. I thought for sure he would not have hands, because normally drone models don't differ that much from each other, so I don't know what happened there. Like I said, this game was botched in so many ways. It's a shame. Well, that'll pretty much do it for the Autobot campaign. In the next episode, we will be returning to the city, and appropriately titled City of the Machines. And we'll cover the rest of the areas that I didn't cover in this episode. So locations like the Central Park and the front and the East Boulevard, we'll cover all of that in the next episode. Well, that's all I got for this one. Let me know your thoughts below. Are you appalled by the slop that is low-res city? Do you prefer the darker environment? Do you think low-res Payload is a superior color blue? Let me know in the comments below. I will see you next time. Till then, don't eat at Stone's restaurant.
That hunk of rock was gonna blow up anyway.